Hello and welcome back. Well, our photo page is looking pretty good now. In this lesson, we're going to add to it, and we're going to add an input control just above the photos. And when the user types some text in, we'll search every photo and match the photo description and title, and we'll only display the photos where there's a match. In order to do that, we'll use a shadcn input component. So I can find it here. So this is an input component here, and here's the installation command. So I'll copy that, and I'll just shut down the browser temporarily and paste this command in, and then restart Lead. And I'm going to rearrange my page slightly so that we can see the browser on the right and the code on the left. So we'll see updates. Now let's insert that input control. It's got a self-closing tag, and I'll import it. And when I save this, you should see it appear on the right. There it is. We need to just add a bit of margin underneath. So I'll add some tailwind styling to that. Class name equals margin bottom 6. Okay, that's better. Now, this is going to be a control component, which means we're going to sort of maintain a string variable, and the variable is going to control what's actually displayed in the input control. So at the moment I can type text in, but we don't have a variable inside our application that contains this. So let's just create some React state for that search text, like this. I've got to import use state. And now whatever is in search text, I want that to be displayed in the control. And I do that with a property called value. And equally, every time the user types something into this input control, I want to update the search text by calling the setSearchText setter function. So fortunately, input provides us with what's called an onChange property, and we just pass to that function. So obviously we're going to put an arrow function in here. And the way it works is that every time the user makes a change to what's inside the input control, onChange will call our handler function, and it'll actually pass us a parameter which we can call event. And inside event is a whole bunch of information, but from our perspective, what we can do is we can grab hold of the entire text now inside the input control. And that's contained in this event target value. So now all I need to do is call my setter function and pass to it that text. So the sequence of events is going to be the user types something into this control. That triggers onChange to call our function, and it passes it this value event. We then call setSearchText and pass the text inside the input control. That will cause React to update its state, the value of search text, and it will re-render our home component. Search text will have the new value, and the input control will display whatever the user typed in. So let's just save that over here, and now if I type XXX, we can see it's being displayed. But the important thing is if I just pop up a debugger, it's a little bit bigger. Here's the home page. So let's just put a breakpoint here after search text has been set, and I'll put a Z on the end of that, and we can see the breakpoint has been hit and search text is equal to XXX with a Z. And if I continue, type an A, every time I type something, the state is changed, it's re-rendered, and search text has got the new value. So that's all working exactly as we want. We've now got the value that's been typed in. Now to filter these photos, we will call photos.filter, which is one of these array functions. And photos.filter takes a single parameter, which is an arrow function that we have written. And what filter does is it takes each photo one at a time and it calls our arrow function and it passes that photo in. And what it expects us to do is either return true or false. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call our function called match. I'm going to pass it the photo and the search text, and match will return true or false. Photos.filter will then return a new array which contains just the photos that pass the test. So we can say const filtered equals photos.filter, and filtered will contain the photos that pass the test. And all we need to do is replace this photos here with filtered, and we will instead be displaying just the filtered photos. So all that's left to do is to write this match function. So I'm going to put the signature to the match function up here. You can see it takes two parameters. One is a single photo of type photo data, and the other is the query, which is this search text that's being passed down here, and it's going to return a boolean. So inside this function, I'm going to create a variable called const title match, and that is going to be equal to photo.title.includes. This is a string function, and I'm just going to pass to it the query. So if the title includes the query text, then title match will be true, and vice versa. Now I can also do that for the description, photo description. And then all I have to do is return whether either of them is true. So return title match or description match. And you can see the application has now leapt into action. And if I type missed here, you can see it's successfully found this text missed. At the moment though, it's only working on case sensitive searches. So if I type missed lowercase, it doesn't work. And we can easily remedy that by just converting everything to lowercase. So here I'll put const query equals search text dot to lowercase. So to lowercase doesn't change what's in search text. It merely returns a new string, which is the lowercase version. And now I can say query and pass that to match instead. And similarly, this to lowercase function, I need to really apply that to the photo title and also to the photo description. And for good measure, I'm actually going to trim everything down as well. So if there's any leading spaces or trailing spaces, I can get rid of those. I'll just trim the title, trim the description, and trim the search text. And now we should find that even if I type space, space, and then missed, it'll still find it. Or space, capital missed, it'll find it. So that's all working very well. One sort of edge case is if the user types in some text that nothing is found, we'd like to sort of provide some reassurance that this is a failed search rather than the application isn't working. So I've got a little sort of text box that we can display, a sort of banner. I've called it no matches, and you can see it's just a div that contains no matches, try a different search. And it's got a little bit of styling. It's got rounded corners. It's got a dash border, lots of padding. The text is centered and it's sort of slightly grayed out. And we'll display that if the user entered a query. So we'll say query is true. And also, having applied that query, the filtered array, if we say the length is equal to 0, then in that case we've tried a query, we've got nothing back. So what we'll do is use lazy evaluation as and no matches. And now we should see if we type in Z here, we get this nice little banner underneath. And if we want points for style here, we can actually change this to, instead of saying filtered length equals naught, be slightly more conventional JavaScript to simply say not filtered length like this. That would be a slightly more common. You can see that still works just fine. So with that, let me just close this, and we can see that everything is working nicely in both dark and light mode. So I will bring this lesson to a close, and I will see you in the next.